We have to recognize that all people who came to Canada as settlers, as immigrants, as refugees, whoever they are, came here with their culture intact, with their religion intact, with their way of practicing intact. Indigenous people had that taken away from them. So they weren't allowed to practice their culture. In fact, their ceremonies were banned. From an Indigenous perspective, we have to connect to our spirit first in order to feel our love. And how we heal is through our emotions. So when you take those two pieces out of the way we live, you've stopped our way of connecting to our cultural spirit, and you've stopped our way of healing. Those two things are taken away from children when they are being colonized.
When we look at all this colonization happening to where today we're on reserves, having to learn a different language and to read and write, asking for permission when you want to drive, you go to the Department of Transportation and ask for permission to drive, and so on. Our knowledge was replaced by books, not stories anymore. But when I went to residential school, the classroom, I didn't understand it. When the teacher says, you put up your hand if you're gonna go out, and you ask for permission to go to the washroom, you don't speak out until you're asked, and all those rules, you think, I never got those rules. At our young age, my cousin and I, we said, we were given the right to speak through the little birds. So we spoke our language. And when I spoke the language in the residential school, I was beaten. So we said, we're going to show our authorities, our privileges, our physical documentation for privilege to speak language. So we sang the song and we got punished. I was trying to make sense of it, but I was using the environment to make sense of it. The Western classroom was a practice that evolved from Western worldview, and I didn't know the Western worldview.
Going to school was very difficult for me. I am very much of a feeling person, not a thinking person. And I think that many people are like me. What do I feel about this? Not what do I think about this? And it's very hard to feel when you're not connected to people around you.
You're trying to present yourself as a real person in a reality to somebody else that's denying you that, to say, you learned this way. And then when that trauma happens, then mistrust happens. Then physical, sexual, and mental abuse happened, and the mistrust just goes right off the chart.
You really don't have any trust of what's happening. And a lot of people that are Indigenous have trauma just because of where they're coming from. And trauma is really about, where am I? Who can I trust? How do I get out of here? There is no sustainability in this world, in anything we do, if you don't have that connection to spirit.